My name is Christian Lorraine, co-owner of the tobacco shop downtown Hartford, Pratt Street. My significant black American is my grandfather, Lester Thomas, a man who bought 12 children from North Carolina, lived on Greenfield Street and Deerfield Avenue, and taught me the meaning of hard work, him along with my father. Grandpa and Dad, you're my significant black American.
The most significant American black man in my life is my husband. He is not only a great father and a great husband of 35 years, but he is also a war hero. He went to Vietnam. He was shot twice in Vietnam, and he's got a double Purple Heart, and I know he's my hero.
My significant black group of people would be the Little Rock Nine from Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. They basically fought for equal education, and because of them, we have the right to have equal education, to have opportunities that couldn't be handed to us back in the day like it is now.
Within my significant African Americans, I will identify two women that I consider that could be the icon for many worldwide in terms of my personal identity and my evolution as a woman. I will highlight the names of Maya Angelou, who as a poet impacted my life and gave me vision regarding my writings and my way of expression. As well, I would like to highlight the impact of Iyanla Vanzant, an spiritualist, a woman that through her personal journey has been giving light and empowerment to many other women in society, and who also acknowledge the responsibility that women has among the evolution and the persistence and the stability of men who relies on women to become a better human being in society. To both of them, my appreciation and my public validation for the impact in my life.
My black significant is my father, because he raised me as an only child, as a girl. He did his best. I feel like he raised me pretty well, better than my mother would have. I appreciate him because he really worked really hard to make sure that I finished school, I was smart, I wasn't running the streets. So that's my significant black person.
Okay, well, this is a tough question because, as the saying goes that we've heard a lot, black history is American history, and that's so I think about African Americans who are in my own life. I think about one of my childhood friends who's closer to me than a brother, and one of my dearest friends in the whole world, Burnell, and we grew up together, and so he's very significant to me. But I kind of think of because of the tragedy that the African American community was inhibited for so long in American society, I tend to think of firsts. Musically, as a musician, the composer William Grant Still was the first African American composer, I believe, to ever have a symphonic work performed in the United States. I think of the great African American composer Scott Joplin, who was a master at the genre of ragtime music, and when you think of ragtime music, you can't think of anybody but Scott Joplin. But I go back and I think of Frederick Douglass. He's always been a personal inspiration to me because there was this quote that that is attributed to him, where he says, for 20 years I prayed for emancipation, and then I began to pray with my feet. And I love that, because that there's so many lessons to be gotten from that statement. But I guess when I just think of significant African Americans and great Americans, for me personally, it goes back to just one of the greatest and one of the finest, and that would be Martin Luther King Jr. And the reason why is because, he was a man who was ahead of his time and who was talking about ideals that unfortunately we're still striving for today, and that is, when he mentioned that concept of judging a man by the content of his character. I think that's the essence of where we all need to be. I think that there's going to have to come a point in time where we as America have to cease being hyphenated Americans and just simply be Americans, just simply be humans. And this is what I take as what Dr. King was echoing in that sentiment. We as human beings, we are so far more related to each other than not. And we get so hung up on superficialities like skin pigmentation and hair texture and cultural practices and geographical locations, that if we can push aside all of these supposed differences that make us different from one another, we find that there is a commonality that we all share. And I think that that was one of the things that Dr. King was trying to point out in his life's work. And he did it very eloquently, and he did it very courageously, and he did it in a time that was not receptive to his message. And so I think for those reasons, I really admire the legacy and the man that Martin Luther King Jr. was.